Hello, Diana. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Miss.
How are you doing today? Are you fine? Are you ready?
Ah,
Are
feels
you
so good.
working?
Yes, I'm ready for the class.
Okay, that's great. Are you on vacation? No?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Just until Saturday.
Good morning, Mr. Miguel. How are you doing? A long time no see you, mister.
Good morning, teacher.
Good morning. Hello, Edwin. Good morning.
Good morning, teacher.
So let's start with this. First of all, we need to know what is a clause. So, a clause, as you already know, I know that you know, right? It contains multiple words, including a noun or a subject, right? A pronoun, it will be, or a verb. A clause, it will be sometimes like a sentence, right? Sometimes you can have like a verb, a pronoun, or a subject, and that will be a clause. But here we have adjective clauses. An adjective clause, also called a relative clause, because you use relative pronouns to write those clauses, is a dependent clause that modifies a noun or pronoun. It tells which one or what kind, right? Adjective clauses almost always come right after the nouns they modify, right? So an adjective clause is a dependent clause that acts just like an adjective in the sentence, and you can also add information about the subject of the sentence, right? Here you have some examples. For example, there is the mountain that, in this case, that is a relative pronoun, right? So here you're adding information. There is the mountain. Information about what? The mountain, right? That we are going to climb, right? So there you have. There is mountain so that we are going to climb. Or my blue tennis shoes, which used to be my mom's, right? Were under the bed. If you notice here, you have the relative clause or the adjective clause between commas, right? Because you are adding information about what? The blue tennis shoes, right? Comma, which used to be my mom's. Another comma, and then you continue. We're under the bed. You should have my blue tennis shoes were under the bed. But if you want to add extra information about these, you should use a relative pronoun, or in this case, an adjective clause. So, which used to be my mom's, right? Were under the bed. So you have those of clauses there, right? Or you can have Daniel, who was late again today. So there you have that clause between commas, right? Because you are adding extra information about who? Daniel, right? So sits next to me in English. You can admit this. Danielle sits next to me in English, and that is like a, you can say, an affirmative sentence in simple present. Yes, a common one. But if you want to add an adjective clause there, first you need to use who. That is a relative pronoun, right? Then you're going to give the information about that person. So who was late again today? Yes, who? Daniel, right? sits next to me in English, right? Using dependent clauses is a way of combining sentences. Daniel was late again today. Plus, Daniel sits next to me in English. You have there two sentences. Daniel was late again today, and Daniel sits next to me in the English, right? So Daniel, who was late again, sits next to me in English. In that way, you are combining both sentences, right? With relative pronouns, an adjective clause generally begins with a relative pronoun. Here we have the relative pronouns that, which, who, whom, and whose, right? Later we're going to practice a little bit and also know the meaning and the functions of these relative pronouns because they have different functions depends on the subject that you have there, right? So that connects the clauses to the noun or pronoun it modifies, right? So with understood pronouns, sometimes the relative pronoun is understood and not written in the sentence. For example, the teacher I had in fifth grade really inspired me. You can say the teacher that I had in fifth grade really inspired me, but the relative pronoun there it is not necessary because you understood that we can say the pronoun there. So the teacher, you don't need the relative pronoun, just I had in fifth grade really inspired me. So you don't need to use in that case the relative pronoun. Also, you can say the teacher I had in fifth grade really inspired me, right? You can use that or whom. That is for objects and people, right? And whom also in that case you can say the teacher whom I had in fifth grade really inspired me. But you cannot meet the relative pronoun, right? With relative adverbs, adjective clauses can also start with relative adverbs like where, when, and why. Those are relative adverbs, right? They connect the dependent clause to a noun in the sentence. The relative adverb modifies the verb in the dependent clauses. For example, that is the bench where you and I were supposed to meet. So that is a relative adverb, where, right? That is the bench where you and I were supposed to meet, right? That is the reason why I couldn't meet you. So there you have another relative adverb, no pronoun in this case, right? Why? And 6 o'clock was that time also when we were supposed to be there. Right, so that's another relative adverb. 6 o'clock was the time when we were supposed to be there. So in that way, you can use the relative adverbs. I guess you don't have doubts about it, or yes? We're going to check something that it's very important. So let me share that with you because I really need to know that. Okay, here you have this, guys. This is important. I want to explain this. So it says, let me do it a little bit bigger. Okay. Adjective clauses are dependent clauses that give information about nouns. We know that, right? So they allowed you to combine two sentences into one by using relative pronouns. There you have who, whom, whose, where, when, which, that, and why as the connectors, right? So you can call then, where, when, and why maybe at we can say relative adverbs, but they are also relative pronouns. We can call them in that way, right? So, who used for people as subjects. So, my friend missed the lecture. Plus, she borrowed Sam's notes to review. You have there two sentences. First, my friend missed the lecture. Then she borrowed some notes to review. So, use for people. My friend, right? Who missed the lecture, in that case, borrow some notes to review. Right? So, there you're combining those sentences. My friend missed the lecture. So, my friend who missed the lecture borrowed Sam's notes to review. Also, whom used for people but as objects of that sentence. For example, the candidate who won by a landslide. Plus, many people admire him. So you're going to add information about the candidate in this case. So the candidate whom many people admire. You don't need to add admire him because you already know that you're talking about the candidate there. So the candidate who many people admire, so there won, right, by a landslide. So you're adding information about that. So the candidate who as an object many people admire won by a landslide, right? What about whose? Used to indicate possession. I admire Professor Brooks. Plus, his books were stolen. So, I admire Professor Brooks, comma, whose books were stolen. Who is the owner of the books? Professor Brooke, right? That's why that's a possession, so you're going to use whose. I admire Professor Brooks, whose books were stolen, right? Also, that used for people, place, and things introduces information necessary to explain a noun, right? So look at this one. That is for people, place, and also for things. So that is very useful, right? I met a man on the bus today. He works at the World Bank. So demand that. Look, I met on the bus today works at the World Bank. So there you're introduced like an information that is necessary to talk about or to explain something about the subject of the sentence, right? So the man that I met on the bus today works at the World Bank. So that will be which used for places and things. introduces extra information about an already specific noun. Specific noun. My new car needs a very little gas. Plus, it was a gift from my son. My new car, comma, because you are adding information about the car, about the thing here, right? So, which was a gift from my son needs very little gas. So here you have this. This is a which was a gift from my son. That is a dependent clause, not an independent one, right? So there you have the real sense. My new car needs very little gas, but you are adding as extra information of a specific noun. Which will be the specific noun? The car, my new car, right? So, which was gift from my son needs very little cost. And here you have something that it's very important. Note, when an adjective clause provides extra information, it is set off by commas. You need to add comma before and comma at the end, right, of the adjective clause there, right? So, also when and where used to replace in which or in which, no which. So you're going to use where for places and also when for time, okay? So, July 25th was sad for me. I left home on the date. So, July 25th, comma, because you're adding information about that time, right? Or that date. So, when I left home was sad for me, right? So, there you have this. Because you're using when for time, we can say time, and where for place, right? So, I have always wanted to visit the big house. Julio lives in that house. So, I have always wanted to visit the big house. There you have there, where Julio lives, right? So there you're combining those sentences. Where, because of the place, the big house, right? So also we have why. Usually introduces a noun clause. My cousin ran away. I don't know why. Right? Here you have at the end. I don't know why. So if you combine them, you can say, I don't know why my cousin ran away. So there you have a noun clause. Here you have the adjective one. So I don't know why my cousin ran away. So there you're combining. My cousin ran away. I don't know why. Yes, so that would be the use of why in that case because you're given like a reason. Yes. So I don't know if you have questions about this. This is very important, guys. So if you can take like a picture or something about this or maybe take notes, that would be great. I don't know if you have questions about this, guys. Is everything clear about the adjective clauses? I guess we need to practice, but tell me, do you have any questions about that? They use the relative pronouns or all those things?
I do have questions, but it's a little bit confused.
Why, Diana?
Maybe when you need to combine the sentences,
Uh-huh. Sometimes that will be difficult, right? To know how to combine them. But we need to know the meaning, right? But we're going to practice something about that. But first, we're going to do another activity that is about adjective clauses, but that is a little bit easy than combine clauses, right? So, Edwin and Mr. Miguel, do you have questions? No?
No, teacher.
Okay, nice. That's amazing.
No, teacher.
Okay, so let's do an exercise, guys. Here you have it. Relative clauses. So, or adjective clauses, there you have it. And here you have two examples. You're going to decide which is the best adjective or relative pronoun that you need to use in that adjective clause, right? He shook me by the hand in a manner which expressed everything, right? Here you're using what? Which, right? Also, there was once a man, you're talking about what? The man, right? Who had a dog, right? So you're going to use which, where, whose, whom, who, right? In order to complete these sentences. You have there 19 sentences, right? So you're going to choose or to use the correct relative pronoun there. Maybe which, where, I will write it here because it's kind of different. Okay, so let's see. As you can see them all. Okay, that will be. So, guys, work on then. Try to complete those sentences using an correct relative pronoun. You can have whose, maybe I will write them here because I couldn't do it in the other one. Maybe that would be whose, it could be which, right? Um, let's see, who, that would be who or whom, right? Or where, maybe. Also, you can have where, right? Or, yeah, those are the ones. Which, whom, whose, where, etc., right? So, try to complete those sentences using those words, okay? So then we're going to check them together. Read the sentences very careful and decide which would be the correct relative pronoun that you need to use there to complete those adjective clauses, okay? So you are going to have 5 minutes for you to work on them, okay? So work. Remember, if you have questions, just raise your hand and I will try to help you. Then we're going to check then the answers together, right? So work, guys. The number 4, Diana. We're going to read the sentence and tell me the answer there, please.
Those in authority of the Nile knew how to choose soldiers. Duty was to exercise pitiless severity against the defenseless. I suppose it's whose.
Whose? Yes. Why whose, Diana?
Uh,
Duties, right?
maybe
Because of the duties, right? The soldiers' duties. So whose duty it was to exercise, right? That's That's why you need to use who's there. Excellent. Thank you, Diana. That's great. Mr. Miguel, number 5.
Okay, teacher.
Okay.
Li- Recently, they can allow pets who rent to the house.
Okay. You say who, right? But if you notice here, they came along a narrow path, right? So you're talking about that. That is a place or a thing, right? So in this case, you can use that or which, or which led to the house. So you're introducing or you give information about what? The path, right? So recently they came along a narrow path which led to the house. Okay, nice. Thank you, Mr. Miguel. Edwin, 6. Okay.
This time she did not take him to a splendid palace, but to a deep cave in a rock, where there were chains hanging from the wall.
Excellent. Where, right? You're talking about what? The place. Nice. That's good. Where there were chains hanging from the wall. Excellent. Nice. Diana, 7. Amen.
Okay, a man who does nothing for himself does nothing at all.
Excellent. Who, right? Because you're talking about the man. So, the man or a man who does not think for himself does nothing at all, right? Excellent. Let's see 8. Edwin again, which could be.
He has pleased her, and she had received him kindly because she was related to the man who she had loved from childhood.
Okay, in that case, that would be better if you use whom, right? You can say who, but in this case, like who is like as an object, right? So the man whom she had loved from childhood. That would be better if you use whom, right? Or who. That would be who, but in this case, it sounds better to use whom, right? Okay, thank you, Alvin. That's great. Okay, I guess he's not there. So it says, why this lack of penetration as to their personal affairs is in men business, it is to penetrate all things. What should be the answer of this one? Talking about affairs in men, why? Business. So you can say whose, right? It means whose business, because you have this business, right? It is to penetrate it all things, right? That would be who's there. Nice. 10. Edwin, which would be that one?
A number of, how to say this?
Enough. I guess that is enough.
Note stop behind them, whose duty it was to see that they did not raise their eyes towards the men.
Mhm. So Edwin, you said here, whose, right? That's great. So whose duty again? It was to see that they did not raise their eyes towards the men. Excellent. That's great. Diana, this is easy. 11.
It is, I am asking you, It is I whom
Who, right? Great. It is I. That's weird. It is who I'm asking you, right? That would be that. I guess we don't need I here. It is who I'm asking you or whom. Mhm. It sounds better, home, right? It is I who am asking you, but I don't know if it is correct to use I in this case. I don't think so. Okay, excellent, Diana. What about 12? He was walking the word. There were people, many people. So, which one do you think it will be the answer for this one? The word. That's a place, right? So, which could be the answer for that? Mr. Miguel, do you have it?
He was walking the world
Okay.
because there were people, many people.
So, where, right? So, where there were people. In that case, we cannot mean where were people, right? So, there were people. Sometimes we can change or substitute the word were there to where, right? In that case. And 13, Edwin.
It is you whom we had.
Excellent. Who be had. Excellent. That's good. Nice. 14, Diana.
okay, it was he whom had stolen the papers.
Who, right? Whom had stolen the papers. Excellent. And James' eyes bent on him. A look seemed to come from the very depth or what was left within. So it's a little weird one. So we can say which in that case. Which seemed to come from, right? Eyes of Ben on him and look, which seem, right? That would be that one. Okay, let's see, Diana, 16.
And I gave him a sort of green pleasure to hear the sigh seem to
Mhm.
come from the bottom of her heart.
Okay, so
Which
excellent. Which, right, seemed to come from the bottom of her heart, the side. Good, that's great, Diana, nice. Elwin, 17.
Then he pushed the curtain aside, and the woman whom he had just noticed with him with a low cry.
Excellent. Whom? That's perfect, right? The woman whom he had just noticed. That's great. 18, Mr. Miguel. Can you? All right. So it was he had killed them. So who had killed them, right? And the last one, Diana.
you talk about everything as if you knew more about it than the people. Business it is to know all about it. People whose
Excellent. Whose? There you have business there, right? Whose business is to know all about it. That's amazing. Nice. Very good, guys. That's good. Okay, so now let's do another one. We're going to make this. That's a little bit difficult and confusing sometimes, but we're going to try to combine these nice sentences, right? Using an adjective clause. For example, let's do the number one together. You have students do well on tests if they are prepared beforehand. Some students are anxious. Which could be that one? There you have their students, maybe. Students, that will be the subject. Students who, we can say who are anxious because who are, right? Anxious, right? Comma, because you're adding information about that subject, right? So, do well. We are going to continue with the verb. Do well, right? On the test if they are prepared beforehand. So we can combine it in that way. So students who are anxious, that's extra information about the students, and here you are using an adjective clause, do well on the test if they are prepared beforehand, right? So that would be that one. So now you're going to combine the following sentences into one using an adjective clause. I guess we're not going to finish, but at least we're going to try. What about the number two? What do you think about that one? How will you combine that? A research paper on environmental problems received an award. Or do you need to think about that?
Maybe yes, I wrote a paper. No, I wrote a paper. I wrote a paper which
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Okay, let's do this. Edwin, tell me.
I think a research paper on environmental problems, which was wrote by me, received an award, I think.
That's good. That would be one option, right? So, a research, oh, research paper, which, you said, right? Which was wrote by me. Okay, that's good. Receive an award. That's good. For me, it sounds good, right? A research paper which was wrote by me received an award. Or you can say a research paper which I wrote. Also, if you want to say that, which I wrote. In that case, receive an award. That will be also. Yeah, that's good. Excellent, right? It sounds good, right? Or maybe also you can use that I wrote. That would be another option. For me, that's good if you use that one also. Because you can use that for objects, things, right, and people. So, but which you're using that when you give like extra information about any specific noun. So you're talking about who? The research paper there. So you can use also that if you want it. That's great. Excellent. So guys, you're going to have these as a homework assignment. I want you to work on them at home and we're going to check those sentences next class, okay? Next week. And I don't know if you have questions now. That will be your homework. I don't know if you want to take a picture of it or screen or something, right? Or if you want,
Yes, I will take a picture.
okay. Or if you want, I can send you also a picture to Google Chat or on WhatsApp. Yeah, also for your classmates. And guys, remember that
Okay.
today you're going to find the last evaluation from Module 4. So try to study and go and do the evaluations. Remember, if you don't have or if you don't do the evaluations, you're not going to have or you're not going to approve that semester. So try to do all the evaluations, okay? So, so guys, if you don't have questions or comments, see you next class. Try to study these adjective clauses if you want to look for more information. You can find even a video, something about related to the adjective clauses that will help you a lot. So practice, study, and remember, you can also look for more information for you to understand better that topic, okay? So, have a nice day, guys, and have a nice weekend. Take care and bye bye.
Bye, miss. Take care.
Take care. See you.
Bye, teacher. Take
Bye,
care.
Edwin. Take care.